right, everyone, what's up? Today, our guest is the photographer of the Gophers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Minnesota Vikings, and more. He is a young, motivated individual, and he is kind of what I would consider the content king. I feel like I see this guy on my flippin' page every day. So happy to have you on, Isaac. How do you pronounce your last name?
Schubert.
Isaac Schubert. Easy.
It's like the ice cream, but just a little bit different.
Without Schubert.
Yeah.
Isaac Schubert.
For sure.
Cool. Isaac Schubert, owner of Umba Productions. He is on the sidelines of all your favorite sporting events if you go to any Minnesota sporting event, really.
How you doing, though? How's your day so far?
Great. Yeah. Did a little work this morning, so this is a nice break to come by into your guys' studio, hop on the pod, and let's talk some stuff.
Yeah, dude. I think have we met like once or twice?
Virtually, like on just the IG DMs, but then you, me, and Jordan, we went out to like brunch or something.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago or something like that. But
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, it was good to connect, and I think like it's just amazing like hearing. There's so many different like avenues you can like tackle with a camera, and I think like you and Jordan are kind of in this own like world, and then we do a lot of like storytelling and stuff like that, and then you have like people that do concerts, and it's like we've had a pretty good mix, I feel like, on this podcast. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
For sure.
What do you got going after this?
Like work-wise or
Yeah.
just work-wise, man? I don't know. It seems like it's always going. Working with the Gophers, it's kind of just gotta kind of keep the creative juices going, and being exposed to college athletics. It's like it just doesn't stop. And so right now I'm working on this new segment with the men's basketball team called New Kid on the Block, where we take any of our new like either freshmen or transfer athletes, and then we take them to Super Block, which is on campus. It's an outdoor court, very beautiful. It's at sunset, golden hour, looks great. And then basically just ask a bunch of questions, get the questions out there that Gopher fans want to hear about.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's a fun shoot for sure.
Are they balling too, or is it like interview style?
So the initial idea behind this was last year for the newcomer videos, they just kind of sat them in front of a camera, and it was just kind of like rattling off questions. And they're like, "Oh, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm from here." I wanted to get away from that because I thought that was a little bit just not personable. So we took 2 of our veteran players on the team to interview the newcomer, and they're just shooting hoops, kind of really relaxed, kind of chill vibe, whatever. It's a good way to break it up too, so we're not just so interview heavy. And so that's kind of the idea behind it, was like, all right, how can we get these guys talking where they're in kind of their element? So let's take them to an outdoor court at sunset.
Lab them up.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like
it's
too,
cool.
like you kind of get nervous when you're just like sitting there, standing there. If they're just like comfortable, like just balling or just like doing their thing, then you'll probably get the better interview out of them because they just feel comfortable.
No, totally. Yeah, and that was the idea.
And it's so organic too. I love that because it's like organic. They're on the court. They're doing what they love, and then right when the video, like say you're scrolling, right when you see the video, it's like right there, and you're like, oh, they play basketball. Like that's what they do. Let's hear about these guys. If you're into basketball, right away it grabs your attention. So that's way better than like sitting in front of a screen. So you come up with that idea then?
I did. So it took like a month to plan, and it was a ton of work to just kind of get the vibe, like how I'm gonna get them to there and back. So I had to like get like golf cart trained and everything, so I could actually like drive them from
Golf cart trained.
Yeah, like at the U, like you have to like have like a little short training course to actually drive the golf carts. So like I had to take like the crew to the Super Block court, and then come back on the golf cart, pick up the players, and like so like doing all that, and then writing down like the script, getting like a shot list, getting reference pictures and images to kind of get the image down, what I really wanted to capture, and then just like researching different like styles in videos on YouTube and stuff. And just kind of like a month of just going through like, okay, how do I want this to feel?
Just producing it.
Right. What do I want it to look like, and how do I want it to end up like too? So it took a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like a month-long process. So that took like a month, and then like you're ready to shoot basically after that?
Pretty
Like,
much.
Yeah.
The shoot itself took 35 minutes because the
that's
planning
wild.
was so like dialed
Right.
in. So that's something that like I learned a ton from, was like, if you put in a ton of work, which you guys know, in the pre-production phase, the shoot itself shouldn't take too long if you know exactly what you're trying to do. And like I got those guys in, got them out in 35 minutes, and we were done, and the piece turned out great. Like I was super happy with it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that like producer role is so like, I don't know if it's undervalued, but I don't think the client like understands it. And like I didn't understand it for a while, and I would just quote like pre-production, production, post-production. 3 steps, right? But now I'm starting to realize like, okay, sometimes pre-production is simple, right? Sometimes pre-production needs like a producer role. Like sometimes you need to charge for a producer, you know? And it's kind of interesting because now I feel like we're getting into projects where we're actually needing to like have producers or like produce. But yeah, it's interesting that you're just like one man show in it, dude. You're just like grinding. Obviously there's probably a team. You have a team with you, or is it just like?
For men's basketball, it's usually just me.
Yeah.
So I'm usually staffing games, staffing people for projects like this. Like I grabbed one of our interns and said, hey, this is what I need. I need you on B cam. You're shooting this person. This is the, like, basically gave him the whole rundown of the project and everything. And then as far as like putting together pretty much anything like bigger picture, it's kind of me. I have to come up with the idea, and then I have to talk to the team or like the people on the team and say, hey, this is the idea that we're going to try and do. Can we take it and run with it? And if they say no, then we adjust. If they say yes, then it's on me to execute it. So it's quite the responsibility, especially working for a big Power 5 team like that.
Yeah. That's crazy. And then obviously you have the football stuff going at the same time. And then like, I believe Vikings OTAs are starting. So I don't know if you're shooting that. No.
Not that. Just games, which is
okay.
nice.
Yeah. So just Gophers stuff at the moment, but multiple sports coming down the pipe. I feel like you got to be busy on the weekends a lot.
Oh yeah. Once August starts, like my life is pretty much over. Basketball takes a break, but Gophers fall camp starts. NFL preseason starts, and then that's also when I start working with Rudy Gobert and getting like the NBA season nailed down. So gonna be real busy coming up here in the next 6 months.
Okay, interesting. And what do you mean working with Rudy Gobert? Like what?
So
what do you do with him?
Rudy actually hired me to be his video and photo guy for all the home games. So like NBA players it's way easier to get on the court. If a player likes your stuff, they can reach out to you and you can just get a credential pass to go to, the home games and stuff. So that's kind of how I got connected with Rudy at the end of last season. And thankfully, like, they liked my stuff enough, so they were just like, hey, like, let's plan to like meet, like, come over for dinner in August, and then we'll plan for the next season. And I was like, okay, cool, like, that's fine. So I actually just shot him a text like a couple days ago, and so we're working on that.
It's a cool opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. And like, you're shooting for Rudy, or are you shooting for the Timberwolves? Because I see you at the Timberwolves games, but are you only shooting for Rudy?
I'm only shooting for Rudy. Okay. So when I can like post other stuff that's not Rudy, it's usually when Rudy's like on the bench or like out. So then it's like, oh, like I'm here, might as well shoot some other stuff. Like when LeBron was in town, like that was super cool.
You met LeBron, did you not?
I did not meet LeBron, but like I was like able to capture a lot of him playing and pictures and videos and stuff. Like I just shot like crazy. Like I didn't even care. Like I was just going nuts. So
yeah,
that's super
awesome.
Freaking cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you posted something about that, like shooting LeBron.
Yeah. So, what's funny about that is Braden Figueroa. He's a part of the 505 podcast in LA.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. We're gonna go back a little bit. So this is when I picked up a camera and I was still in Sioux Falls. And I wasn't with the Gophers. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And this was like almost 2 years ago now. He called me on IG and he was like, hey man, like your stuff is like pretty good. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to film the NFL. I want to film the NBA. I want to do like professional sports. I want to work for pros or whatever. And he was like, cool. And so I've been listening to the 505 pod like since day one. And like I've gotten to chat with like all 3 of those guys. So Chase, Kostas, and Braden. Yeah. And why that game with the Lakers was such a full circle moment was because like a year later, after he called me and asked me what I wanted to do with the camera, we met on the court.
That's who you had a picture with.
Yes.
Was
Braden.
Braden.
Yeah.
Yep.
B Figgy.
That's crazy.
And I've listened to their podcast. They have a really good podcast.
Yeah, they got great guests on there. I've learned so much just from listening to them.
Yeah, dude, and they do. They talk a lot about like shooting for insane car companies. I think the one I listened to a couple of their episodes, and like one of them was just crazy because he was talking about like shooting for car companies, and they have two crews on these car companies, like an A crew and a B crew, and like you get shuffled up and down, and like you're getting content. It's honestly insane, like just to hear from their experiences on set.
Yeah, most definitely.
And it's cool because you can be like a student of. Like you're just driving and you're listening to a podcast. You're like being a student of the whole production world, really.
I think that's like the coolest part, but also the part that kind of sucks the most about being a creative or a filmmaker is like, even when you're off or not working, you're constantly on. Like you're always learning or something. Like even when I'm scrolling on my phone, like I'm looking and I'm like, oh wow, that was really inspiring, and I'll save that clip for later. Or like driving to grab dinner or something and I'm listening to a podcast. Like it's crazy. Like you just never shut it off.
I think you really have to always be learning too. Like I was telling you before the podcast, like we found this AI platform and that was the same thing, right? So I'm like watching a YouTube video this weekend and this guy is talking about editing this podcast clips and he found this platform and stuff and he didn't mention the platform. So I spent like an hour on Sunday like researching, trying to figure out like what was the platform he was using, going to his clips, looking at the examples and like put that whole thing together. But like, it's weird. You just go from sitting on the couch watching TV to like, boom, like something pops in front of your face and you like have to figure it out. Cause I was like, if I forget about this, I'm going to be so mad.
Right.
So I was just like, I got to hammer it out. And you kind of always have to be learning though, really. Like
absolutely.
Things are changing, styles are changing. I mean, in the last like 3 years, we went from horizontal to vertical and now it's like, you shoot like all your stuff vertical. It does suck. It does suck.
I do shoot a lot of my stuff vertical, but it's not because I want to. It's because I think that it performs better and it takes up more digital real estate on your phone. So kind of had to adapt.
Our phones are vertical, so
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this? Like full time?
Full time. Well, I'm coming up on a year in July with the Gophers, which is also when I started with the NFL. So, like, about a year. Yeah. But then, like, I picked up a camera. I was working for, like, an MMA organization and, like, freelancing for about 2.5.
Yeah.
So, in total, about coming up on 3 years.
That's a pretty quick clip, though, from, like, picking up the camera to, like, shooting for professional sports teams, I would say. How do you think you were able to work your way into these professional sports organizations that quickly?
I think it really boiled down to picking 2 or 3 different like creators or like organizations and looking at what they're producing and trying to mimic that. So then it really started to elevate my style, and it just kind of gave me an opportunity to practice by shooting like random things and trying to make them look really cool, because like I just needed to put in my 10,000 hours or whatever that saying is because like, and it was actually from the 505 pod that I heard. They're like, look, if you're going to shoot your shot with a company or a team or an organization or whatever, like your stuff better look just as good or better. Otherwise you're not going to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'd say for that 2 years of freelancing or whatever, I was just trying to get my stuff better. Yeah. And then what actually got me to working for the Gophers, working for the NFL, was just the connections, the people. So when you bridge the gap of perfecting your craft, or not perfecting it, but working on your craft, and then also your network, and when they meet, that's when you get really good opportunities.
For sure.
That's super true. Dang, that's like some wisdom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's some wisdom for the people. That's true. So it wasn't spending $3,500 on a body and then $8,000 on lenses.
No.
Okay, cool. Just
absolutely not. I think that the best camera that you can get is the one that you're going to use the most. So it doesn't matter if it's your phone, if it doesn't matter if it's some pea shooter that was $300 at a garage sale. Like, there's things that you can learn, like composition, lighting, putting the camera in a specific spot or whatever. Like, you can work on lighting with your phone because it's a camera at the end of the day. Like, if you can make an image on your phone look really good, imagine what you could do with a $3,500 body. Like,
exactly.
It really just starts at the beginning like that.
Yeah, and I even like, I want to get into the Viking stuff a little bit later, but like I know that they even want you to shoot on iPhone. They like love when you guys shoot on iPhone. And
Oh yeah.
even I did a show this weekend, biggest concert thing I've ever shot in my life, and they wanted 70% iPhone, and it like pained me, but I was like, I can just pull out an iPhone, and honestly, the clips look great. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's weird.
It is. It really is weird. What they want the iPhones for in the NFL is the reaction. So we'll just like hand our phones to players, and then we'll just hit record and just be like, hey, say something to the fans, and then they'll just like rattle off something or whatever.
Yeah.
But the phone is kind of crazy because it's so much faster to just whip it out and just film something real quick than to like pick up your camera and like, oh crap, my settings aren't right or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much faster to just do.
It's very
something on the phone.
adaptable to
Yeah,
like, any
100%.
situation.
And it's right
nice.
there, and you know how to use it. You just, boom.
And it's organic. It has like that's why they wanted me at the concert to shoot iPhone, because they're just like, sometimes that stuff does better on TikTok or whatever because it just feels more organic. Sometimes the highly produced stuff, people get a little like steered, depending on the context of it, a little bit like, what the heck, you know?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So interesting. Well, I guess one last question on the Gophers stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is your actual role called, and what are you like doing on the day to day?
So I'm a multimedia producer for the Minnesota Gophers, and I am like kind of split between men's basketball and football. So they say that I'm split, but I'm like 70 to 75% basketball because I'm kind of the only guy for it, and then like 30 to 25% I'm with football.
But you're concepting things too, which is like, I think that's just so crazy.
Yeah.
They can like put one person in a role, and like, I mean, you're obviously the right guy for the role because you just like, you stay motivated and you keep all that stuff going.
Appreciate that.
But
yeah, no, it's tough. It's really tough. Like, it's really like pushed me to bring out some of my best creative work in the past year, for sure.
how do you stay motivated? Because you post so much. I feel like you're always shooting. It'll be like a Sunday at like 9 p.m. and you'll be like at a not a football game. I was gonna say football because Europe, but like a soccer game. I remember you were like posting those soccer games. You were like at the MN UFC thing. Tell me about that. Like you're obviously shooting at odd hours a day. You're shooting on weekends. Like, how do you stay motivated?
Man, that's a great question. I think I really don't even know. Like, this is something that like I kind of fell into on accident. Like, I picked up a camera super late. It wasn't something that like I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a filmmaker, photographer in sports. It's something that I picked up for fun, and I think that passion of just shooting things for fun and creating things that look really cool, like that's kind of how I stay motivated, is just like, what's the next biggest thing? Like, what's the next thing that I can shoot? What's the next thing that I can do? And I don't necessarily like wake up and be like, this is why I'm motivated. Like, I don't have some sticky notes, you know, on my mirror or anything. But I think just continually like trying to grow and also just, you know, get better at something or shoot something new. I think that's what really motivates me.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's like the endless possibilities with the camera. Like, I dreamed about making my career a camera and like making a living with a camera. And then like now I'm doing it, but it's just like, you know, like you said, like, what's the next best thing? How can I bring this image from here to here? How can I color grade this better? How can I tell a better story? How can I sell more products with this ad? Like, I think that's what should keep us all motivated, really. Like, it's not really the money. It's more like the process. I think you have to be in love with the process if you want to be at the highest level of this stuff.
Oh, 100%. If you're in this field for the money, you're going to be really disappointed.
Yeah.
Because it is lucrative if you know exactly what you're doing. But if it's super lucrative, like, anytime money gets involved with something, it starts to get a little bit messy. And sometimes you'll start to question, why exactly am I doing it if I'm doing it for a paycheck, but I'm not enjoying my work? It's like, is it really worth it? So, yeah, especially in the sports world, for being a creative, if you're in it for the money, like, you're not going to make nearly as much money as you want, and you're going to feel like you can't just tie your monetary income to your value to the products that you're providing to the team, to an athlete or whatever, because the minute that you start comparing what you're getting paid as your value, that's when it starts to get all messy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think well, in your world, I think it's like that a little bit more. For us, I've noticed that, well, not noticed, I've known this, but like the more value you provide, the more the client's willing to pay. So like if I can make a video for a client and sell like a ton of product or push their product really well online and generate them $1 million in revenue, they want to pay for that video. Like they're willing to pay for that video. The flip side of that is when a client pays a lot, like you said, they pay attention. So if they're paying, $10,000, $20,000 for a project, and then you do the project, they're gonna make sure it's what they want. If it's not what they want, you're on the chopping block.
At the same time, too, I think for us, it's hard to get them to trust our concepts and our ideas because they are paying that much money. Like, do you have any challenges with your concepts and your like brainstorming, like your ideas and pitching that to them? Like, how do you, is there a challenge in that? Like, is it hard to pitch your ideas and actually get them accepted and that they trust you?
I think that now that where I'm at, it's a little easier just because I have a year under my belt. But starting out, it was a little bit more difficult because I came in all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Like, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z and go absolutely nuts, and I actually burned myself out, like, in the middle of the season. Like, it was crazy. But I think when it comes to a conceptual sort of, like, presentation of the idea, it is more of just, like, okay, why don't we add this? It's not so much, no, absolutely not. So, like, for example, the new kid on the block idea, when I brought that to the head coach, he was like, I like the idea, but could we actually add this in there? And, so it's not necessarily them shutting it down.
Yeah.
It's more so them trying to make it work for either the image of the program or a compliance issue or something like that. So I haven't really run into any sort of ideas that just get a hard no. It's usually just like, okay, how can we mold it in a way where compliance is happy, team is happy, and then also the creators are happy.
And like at the end of the day, I think clients have to realize that like they're paying you as a creative agency to create the product that they're looking for, but also come up with some concepts and ideas. And I wish that more clients, like you said, Devin, I wish more clients like trusted what we thought.
Yeah. It's like, why even hire us if you don't trust our like process and what we believe will like either tell the story better or like creatively or visually will look better or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit tough, but yeah, I feel like I think it's like having the right kind of client or person to work with is like someone who's open and maybe more, but also cares about it too,
Oh, it's like dating. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% two-way street.
100%. I think like if I think my advice would be, because Power Blocks is a good example of this. Like they give us a lot of like creative flexibility. They really trust what we're doing. But when we came into Power Blocks, they had like no video content. So they didn't even know where to start. We kind of came in with like some ideas and some concepts around their brand and how we could make it cool. And they were like ready to go. I think if you go into like an established brand, a lot of times they're like, this is how we do things. We've done it this way for years. And you have to really like push them to change a little bit. Some brands are very stuck in their ways, which makes sense. Obviously some brands are great and what's been working is going to continue to work, but it's fun to try new things. I think like the most eye-catching brands are the brands that truly want to like make a difference and like change things and are adaptable and open to new concepts. So
I think the brands that send examples of other competitors it's not necessarily a red flag, but if they're like, we like this, do this. It's like, well, you can use that as like some sort of like baseline of what they look like, but how can you take it and make it look different for you? Even though you're in the same niche, like how can you stand out? That doesn't sell more products, I'm sure, as you know, like falling in the same order doesn't necessarily sell things. The thing that makes you sell more is what sticks out. Why is this one better? Why does this one attract me more?
Yeah, just like Super Bowl commercials. Like
100%,
sometimes they're
100%.
just ridiculous and they're like making like different ways to, everyone wants to make a Super Bowl commercial, but like, yeah, like they're always so different and so like captivating.
I always think about that too. Like, can you imagine sitting in like the ideation phase of a Super Bowl commercial for a company?
Yeah.
And they're willing to throw in like $5 million. And they're like, what if we did this? And it's the most crazy thing ever, but it's on the table. It's like a lot of brands probably don't think about that, but imagine taking an idea, because that's how it starts. It starts as an idea. And if it's absolutely ludicrous, then like the clients that are like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Those are the good ones.
Yeah, those are the cool ones. The Super Bowl example is really, really good because that's really when brands like showcase their creativity. It's like a renaissance for ads on the Super Bowl. It's like everyone's bringing out their new creative idea to push their product or their thing. And like I think like Doritos does a good job. Like every year they have a really good ad. And it's funny, then you have like some brands that like stick to the same kind of tone every year in the Super Bowl. Like Budweiser always has like a commercial with like horses or dogs or like some farm life stuff. And it's like, it's kind of funny. Like they stick to their roots, and then you have like brands like Doritos that just go crazy with like some
the trial thing with Jack Harlow or whatever.
But yeah, so it's like, it's interesting. Like every brand's different, and you look at it and it's like, people don't judge Dorito for doing like these kind of off the wall ads or stuff like that. And it might be slightly off brand for them, but it's also like something that's fun, and like you have to be fun with it.
Right. Whatever's going to get the conversation going with the brand.
Like even your example earlier, like going on the court and dribble, like that's more fun than just an interview.
I like how you said like add-on, but like any idea is not too big, because I feel like you can pitch an idea and a concept, but that doesn't mean you don't have to be married to that concept. It could be an add-on, or we can like reduce, like it doesn't have to be big, but we can like kind of make it simpler too. So like, I think maybe some people might be scared to see if that's like doable or not, or like they might think that it's black and white all the time, but it's not.
Yeah, you kind of have to like, I feel like you have to pitch that concept that's like way up here. Because sometimes like I feel like they don't know what you're capable of, and ultimately you're dealing with some like, marketing manager who's just going about their day. They're he whoever it may be isn't pouring a ton of creative energy into the concept. They're just getting this video done because it's on their to-do list. So like you have to kind of come in and like push that envelope, I would say.
Yeah, I feel so.
100%.
Like especially with the videos and stuff like that. And I think for you it's a little bit interesting too, because like you do primarily sports, right? Like only sports basically.
I mean, yeah.
That's your brand.
Probably like 90% of it, yeah.
Yeah. Do you see yourself doing sports like forever? Because it seems like you have some like wherewithal and knowledge on the brand side as well.
I don't know. It seems like it's just always changing. I love shooting sports, but highlights sometimes get a little bit monotonous. There's only so many really big plays that you can capture, and there's only very few generational clips that you can get of, like, for example, like an OBJ one-handed catch or like a record-breaking touchdown run or something. Like, those don't happen very often. When you think in the grand scheme of sports in an entire season, like, that doesn't happen very often. So, sorry about that. But I think when it comes down to what I kind of see myself doing, it's geared around sports, but a little bit more story driven.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like you said, having the brand part, the athletes and the programs that we work with, they are brands and they are their own things too. And when you're a professional athlete and you're trying to get sponsorships, you're branding yourself in a way to be marketed as a billboard pretty much. So that's where story is hugely important when it comes to that.
That's what's crazy nowadays, because like every athlete could be an influencer now, or like have a team behind them, like individually, like have their own like marketing and like video photography, where like I feel like back in the day it probably wasn't as accessible to like if you were part of the Vikings or whatever, you probably would only, I don't know if they ever did like an ad and stuff, like they would just have like maybe a bigger production, but like now they have like sponsorships and they can like make their own type of videos and stuff, and like do more branding or storytelling.
Definitely.
Yeah. And some athletes do it good and some athletes do it poorly. Like,
And the athletes that do it really good are the ones who understand the value in social media and their platform. The ones that are just like, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to do anything about it or whatever, like those are the ones that have like 5,000 followers, but they're playing on the world's highest stage. And it's like, look, if you're an athlete and you're already, you know, playing on this massive, massive stage, you're like, you have such a big advantage over anybody else who's trying to do this thing, like as being an influencer or whatever, because you are on the national stage. You are being seen by millions of people. It's like, why wouldn't you take advantage of that?
yeah.
You have a platform, so like
Exactly.
yeah, why not
I've even
give
seen
value to
like,
people?
I was like obsessed with the Vikings for a couple of years, and I remember like seeing people come on, and I would go to the preseason games, and like I'd like look at all the rookies, and this one guy, something Adams, whatever, he got cut ultimately, and then he just like moved to LA, and just like he had enough followers, I think he had like 30,000 followers, just started creating interesting content like skits and stuff online. And I think still today I've subscribed to him on YouTube, and he's still doing all that same thing. And he's like living his life. Seems like he did it right. Like he took the platform he got through college football, being a stud in college football, going to the pros for basically a cup of coffee. And then he's like, hey, you know, if football is not for me, at least I have this platform. Let me utilize it. Let me be funny. Let me be witty. Let me be like let me take you guys with me on my journey with my camera. And he did. And, you know, he doesn't have any head injuries, and he's just living life. So
He's probably got both his knees too, which is
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting. I think a lot of athletes. I think I actually talked to Jordan about this a little bit too. But like, do you see like athletes at the college level have this stigma around like cameras and like wanting to be on camera? Obviously, there's some people that like want to be on camera. They want the highlight reel. Then there's probably some guys that are just like too cool for school, and they're like, get that camera out of my face. I'm not for that.
I don't think at this level, it's a foreign concept having a camera on you. Like I played at a D2 school, like that was weird. Like if there was a camera around, it was weird. Like we're not used to that. Like that, we don't get media attention like that. But at this level, it's completely different. Like it's exposure for these guys to build their brands, especially in the world of NIL. Branding yourself is massive when it comes to landing deals or any sort of income really as a college athlete.
Well, and describe to the listener what NIL is, because I don't know if a lot of people know.
So NIL
It's a new thing.
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's honestly always changing, but name, image, and likeness. So as a collegiate NCAA athlete, you can profit off of your name, image, and likeness as a athlete. So, it's just crazy. It seems like it's always changing, but massive opportunities for athletes who brand themselves the right way to. You know,
because before it would just be through like the college, like they couldn't get paid by like through sponsorships or anything.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
or the college wasn't even paying them either. So like now it's opened up opportunity for athletes to be paid and have sponsorships and build a brand, like you said.
Yeah, and they're making a lot of athletes are making good money. I'm pretty sure like the top 10 athletes make 85-90% of the actual money in the whole league. But oh my gosh. But some athletes are making tons of money. Do you know any numbers?
I don't know any numbers specifically at the U, but I know. I think I saw something that like Bryce Young before he signed his NFL contract was making like 6 figures or something like that. It was crazy. Or like he just broke $1 million in NIL money or something like that. It was crazy. Like
I also thought Livy Dunn from TikTok, that LSU girl, I thought she's making like a ton. I'm gonna actually look it up.
I think Bronny, before he even got to USC, was making like $6.3 million or something like that.
Crazy.
That's crazy. So at what point are you taking a pay cut to go pro?
You just go to pro because you like playing the game, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
Bronny James,
that's crazy.
$7.5 million last year.
that's
But you
crazy.
get also paid through social media platforms too, like TikTok and Instagram. Like they'll pay you.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
So again, that dude's like what, 18?
Yeah.
Making
Yeah,
more
he's in
money
high
than
school.
I-
That's the other crazy thing.
Yeah, making more money than I ever will in my entire life.
He's got the name. He got the James.
Yeah.
I feel
too.
good about myself.
But
Had
you
the
know, that's
foundation
crazy.
set.
the NIL space is it's interesting. I also think it's great for athletes because at the end of the day, athletes, like you say, they're going to be public figures. They are brands. They have to know how to navigate this world. And what would you say to an athlete like, okay, say you got, because there's got to be ways where you could like almost tarnish your brand, right?
100%.
By like taking a deal that like doesn't make sense.
Yeah, taking a deal or even doing something wrong. Like,
Yeah.
it goes both ways. Either you're gonna build your brand or you're gonna hurt it. And that's
Because if
huge.
an athlete just did like NIL deal after NIL deal and everything on their Instagram was only a post of an NIL deal, I feel like they would just not have an engaged fan base.
Probably not. Like, what you like? I would tell an athlete like, why are you like such a good pick for this NIL brand? Like, how did you even get heard of first? Oh, it's because I'm an athlete. What are you good at? Okay, let's just take football. So because of football, you're gonna get this NIL brand or whatever in this deal. So let's start to like reverse engineer it into where's your personality, not just as a football player. You can use football and the school or whatever, or your name as like a vehicle to get your brand out there, but where is your identity in? If it's not just football, that's where I would say like, all right, what can we figure out? Like, do you just love fishing? And like, there's your identity. You're not just a football player. You love fishing. So then all of a sudden, here's a Cabela's thing. And
Yeah.
then you can go out and go fishing or whatever, and they'll pay you $50,000 to promote their new fishing pole.
Exactly. No, that's really great because you have to have like at least a core nucleus of, like you say, like what your brand is outside of football, what your identity is outside of football. Like I think, like it's interesting. Like, you know, some people are in that fishing space. Some people are like you have college athletes that are like you doing the fishing stuff, and you have like college athletes that are doing like maybe hunting, college athletes that are doing fashion and stuff like that. But if you try to do too much and you do like a fishing sponsorship and then like a fashion sponsorship and then like a moving company sponsorship and then like it just it really dilutes it.
Right.
So you have to be
100%.
I think you have to be smart with it, and if you want to maintain the engagement, because there's a lot of pro athletes I think that get like almost no engagement, you know, and it's just they don't have an identity that they really run with.
Right. Also, just telling a story. Like, if you're gonna work with a brand, like, let's form a story around it. Why did you like fishing? Oh, my dad took me fishing when I was super young. Oh, let's talk about that. Let's, you know, kind of like break down the narrative, because it's never fully about the brand and it's never fully about just the person, because you have to find the story that's relatable to an audience, because that's what keeps them engaged, because they're just like, wow, like I can connect to this on a different level because I see similarities in this story that are also similar to my life and my childhood or whatever and experiences, and you're evoking emotion.
Yeah.
So how do you continue to keep that engagement? It's like, don't sell something. Like you're not selling something, you're telling something. And if you're trying to sell something, then you're like, you're just going to lose them. You're just going to lose them.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know, that's cool, because that's like my favorite kind of athlete. Like I'm trying to think of a good example, but like an athlete that like they're obviously good at their sport. Who's that like basketball guy who's like he wanted to go back and ride horses because he just freaking loves horses so much? Oh my gosh, they just won they won the NBA championship, and then he like wanted to fly back.
Yeah, I forget his name, but he's not from like the U.S.
No,
so
he's not from the U.S., but it's just funny because like
It wasn't Jokic, was it?
it might have been. That sounds familiar.
I don't know. I'm really not into the NBA like that, but I just know that like they were like, "Hey, the parade's on Sunday," and he's like, "No,
He's like, I
I'm
gotta
going
go back
home on
to
Friday."
Oh, yeah, that was
Does
Jokic.
sense.
It wasn't
that
him.
was Jokic.
That's crazy, dude. Like that's cool that he has like passions outside of it. I mean, obviously, and I'm sure like ESPN and these like major sports things like clown on him or think it's like funny or whatever. But like at the end of the day, he has a life outside of sports, and I think it's cool that he can do both.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's so important to do both.
It's so important to do both.
So like in the last like few years since you like started and you picked up a camera, like what's the biggest thing that you've like learned, or a challenge, like since then and then like now,
In just like the creative space, or?
Yeah, like biggest thing that you've kind of learned either about yourself or like, as a creative?
I'll start with as a creative. I think, and since I picked up a camera, if I were to like say this to a younger, creative coming up, or myself even, is just to be patient, to, trust the process of putting in your time, and then you will be rewarded for that time if you continue on that path of hard work and being patient. Something about myself is I feel like in the past 3 years, something that I've learned is that I'm more capable of doing high level creative work than I actually think I am. So confidence was like, I never really didn't have confidence, but I did have a lot of imposter syndrome starting because it's so hard when you see all these incredible creators, and social media is a great way to learn, but it's also a great way to get down on yourself.
It's a double-edged sword.
You are just drinking from the fire hose. You're seeing this person have, a bajillion opportunities that you wish you had, and then you start to like, oh, well, I'm never going to be as good as that person or whatever. And you start to kind of like go down in the spiral effect, and then you start to lose that confidence. Well, I think in the past 3 years since I started is like, even just last year, I was dreaming of shooting for a Power 5 school. I was dreaming of shooting for the NFL. I was dreaming of shooting in the NBA. It all happened in 1 year. And I just wish that I could have like just sat and just realized I'm more capable than I know. And I just need to continue to trust the process of putting in the work.
Was there a point where you like came to like trust yourself and like you're like, I can actually like do this?
Yeah.
Or do you remember that point?
Yeah, week 1, Vikings versus Packers.
Okay.
When I was sitting there on the sideline, I was actually with Jordan. I was sitting there, I was just like, can I swear on this?
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, I am here right now.
Dude,
Like,
and that's a massive game. That was like game of the week, week 1.
Game of the week, Vikings Packers. I was like, holy shit, I'm here right now. I'm looking around in US Bank Stadium. I'm like standing like on the sideline next to the Packers bench because I'm pretty sure that I was supposed to shoot the Packers running out of the tunnel. And I was just like sitting there, like intro videos playing, fireworks are going, fake snow's falling, all this stuff. Like, it was just such a sensory overload where I almost started tearing up because I was just like, I worked so freaking hard for this moment. And now I can sit here on the sideline, standing right next to Aaron Rodgers right there.
Right.
Like I was like, holy crap. Like, I finally, like, I made it. Like, I'm capable of doing this. They wouldn't have picked me if they didn't think I was. So let's go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to have been
amazing.
nervous, man.
So nervous. So nervous.
Right.
It was such a learning curve because like HR was a little bit slow at getting our stuff. We were supposed to have preseason games to like, warm us up, but something happened where like HR didn't get back to us. So we missed all the preseason games. So Jordan and I's first day shooting for the for the NFL was the Vikings Packers game, week 1, season officially starting. We're just like, oh man, like this can't go good.
Yeah.
Like we were pretty scared. I was, at least. I don't know if Jordan was,
But I'm sure it did. I'm sure it went fine, right?
it went a lot better than I expected. Again, with just more capable than I realized. And just kind of taking a deep breath, realizing I'm not a fan. I'm here to work. I'm here to be, an integral part of the social media team for the back end of the NFL, the Vikings, and the Packers. Like, I'm supposed to be here for a reason, so I can't just fanboy out the whole time. So, yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like, I think it's easy. Like, even some of the big opportunities we've got, like I was this weekend, like had a big opportunity and I'm shooting and I'm like, I can't be a fanboy. Like I have to, this is business. Like I can't be like, and I think it's actually pretty easy to channel that, but like at the same time, you have to remind yourself, like before you go out there, like
it's a fine line.
It's not about me. It's about what I have to do.
Right. It's a fine line because you obviously want to be very proud of where you're at and recognize where you're at and being like, dang, like this is a really cool spot. But also, like you said, not fanboying out because it's so hard, especially at like the stage that like with like the Vikings game, like that was like my 3rd game ever in the Viking Stadium, and I was on the sideline like shooting it. Like it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Did you have any interactions? Or, like let's think of like all of your sports shooting. Like, have you had any interactions that stand out that are like very like monumental or like Like, I don't know. Did you talk to Aaron Rodgers or anything? Like, did anything of that nature happen?
So I think the most monumental thing was like hanging out with Justin Jefferson before the season.
Yeah.
So they hit me up. My bosses in the NFL hit me up for the drop of the Under Armour line for Justin Jefferson at the Mall of America. And so, like, I went and shot that. They never posted. I was pretty pissed, but because I was really proud of it.
That's the worst when they don't post it.
Sucked. But anyway, like, his agents like hit me up and they're just like, hey, like, we want to do this. So I show up and like that was a pretty monumental thing because it was right before like his breakout season last year.
Yeah.
So like I have all this footage of him just like mic'd up, just being JJ. Like,
yeah,
it's just crazy. And like got to meet his brother and everything. Like, cool. And like this whole event that was going on, like it was super cool. And I think that was like one of the most monumental because it was the first time I've ever shot a pro athlete before. Mm-hmm. And it was with Justin Jefferson's Under Armour line dropping.
Which is like literally, did he get Player of the Year last year?
Yep, he got OPOY and he got another.
OPOY is Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, sorry.
That's super cool, dude. Dang, it's like, it's just crazy. In 3 years, man. That should be like inspiration to anyone like watching or listening. Like 3 years with a camera can change your life. And the reality of it is, I say it all the time, like a camera can take you anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like you can't, if you just focus in on being the best you can possibly be with a camera, you're never going to be limited.
Right.
So,
and focusing on the best the best way that you can be with a camera isn't, okay, 5 years from now I'm going to shoot in the NFL. It's like, okay, if I'm going to go shoot my local tennis team, how can I be the best I can be right now?
Exactly.
Those are the things that will get you to those big opportunities.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to reverse engineer it. Like if you want to shoot for NFL, but you're not there, like you have to like, all right, I can shoot high school team, I can shoot the college team, or like whatever like is in your kind of vicinity or environment at the time. And I think, sometimes you want to get to like that point, but
I get kids in my DMs all the time. Yeah. Like, what do I have to do to get to the NFL? What do I have to do to get to NBA? And I'm just like, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like shoot your high school team like you're shooting the Vikings.
100%. I asked them, I'm like if there was a job opening right now and you were going to apply for this job, do you think your stuff is good enough?
Do you have
It's a hard reality check for a lot of those kids in the DMs because they're like, no, probably not. And I'm like, okay, you got some work to do then. Don't ask for the opportunity if you're not ready to get that opportunity. Because if you're going to shoot in the NFL and your stuff looks like poop, like,
yeah,
you're going to either get fired or you're not going to get hired. Like, so you, like you said, reverse engineer it. If you want to get to this level, where can you start? Don't think I have to be at this level right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the highest level of sport. Like shooting for the NFL is, definitely one of the highest levels of sports photography. So like, are you top 2 sports photographer in the state? Like that's who's on the sidelines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
they don't have the experience yet. Where I feel like everything that you've shot before working in NFL, you've gotten some more experience to be able to like work in that professional setting too. So
exactly.
Yeah, man. It's super super impactful. Well, I remember. Last thing I want to touch on, I think I told you this at the lunch, dude. I remember those Saquon Barkley photos you took. Those are so, I'll like never forget looking at those. I think I was sitting right in that desk and I was like, it was like Monday morning after us, and you posted those and I was like, wow. Your photography is really freaking good, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. And are you switching between photo and video then on the sideline stuff? Okay.
So it kind of just depends on what the team or whoever is asking me. Out of the 3 LCCs that are on the field, I probably have like the most experience with photo. So usually when a team asks for photos, it's like defaulted to me. So I'm just like, all right, cool, whatever. Yeah, that's photos. Me.
What do you shoot photos on?
A7IV.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
So you have 2 bodies, or you shoot everything on A7IV?
One body.
Okay, everything on A7IV. Dang.
Yeah.
A7IV is a good camera.
It was the one that I could afford the most at the it was the one that I could afford at the time and was going to give me the most capabilities of both for video and photo.
Yeah.
So
because it can do 4K 60?
4K 60 with a crop factor, which sucks. But
oh, dang, I didn't know how to the crop factor.
But if you can use it to your advantage, if I'm shooting a 70 to 200 in football, that crop factor is actually kind of nice.
It just goes in more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, but then the photos are obviously fantastic.
Oh, they're insane.
Love them.
And the lighting in that stadium is really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lighting is key. Lighting is key.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, we kind of rattled through a bunch here. I got through everything I needed. Any other words you got for the people?
Not really. I mean, I guess if you're tuned into this and you wanted to know a little bit more about like the journey of me and how I got to where I'm at, it's just learn from me by saying trust in your abilities, but then also be willing to put in the work. Like, you're not going to go anywhere if you don't work for it. And that's the bad thing with today's society is like, if you take this pill, you're going to lose 50 pounds. If you're going to like learn Adobe Premiere in 20 minutes, like I have the cheat codes or what.
I feel like we live in an instant gratification world where
100%.
it's like they want to get to that
And that
right away, you know, but who aren't willing to work for it.
it doesn't exist. Like, success is a slow burn. Losing weight is a slow burn. The only things that happen fast are the bad things.
Right.
You could go and get a DUI tonight and your life could get flipped upside down real quick. You know, like, it's crazy how everything that's positive takes a long time and everything that's negative can happen really fast. So,
And if it takes 2 weeks to get to the absolute highest level, like, it's not worth it. You didn't put any work to get there.
Exactly.
Once you're there, then it's like, now what? Because you already got it. Like, if you don't, like, I will take the time to call a kid who messages me in my DMs and says, hey, I want to get to this point, but how do I start by just shooting my high school team?
Yeah.
Nobody has ever asked that. It is NFL, NBA, pros, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever asked, how do I start shooting my high school team?
yeah,
Like, nobody's asked me that.
that's true. Dude, you gotta have like you gotta rent out our studio and have like a little seminar and post on your story. Like, everyone
was
who wants to
thinking
be a
about-
sports photographer, like,
I was
come
thinking
in. If
about,
you
like,
actually have
starting
all
a
these people in your
course.
DMs, dude, I mean, it's cool. It'd be
Yeah, that'd be cool to have all of them just like come to one
Yeah.
Just be like-
That'd be pretty cool.
little presentation.
well, I did one of those. There was a guy, Paul Weaver. He's like really good photographer, really good creative, and I went to his like pricing seminar when I was like just starting out, like had no idea what to charge. That was one of my biggest issues. And he had this like pricing seminar. I went there, and it wasn't even about him. Like, he was obviously doing the pricing the whole seminar, but like the people I met there are still people I DM and message today. So like, for you, having those kids or those people come in is cool for you, but it's also cool because some of those kids have connections to other schools or whatever, and they want to go and shoot together, and all of a sudden you created these connections and these bonds between people that allows them to grow as well. So
Yeah. I think that's the next biggest thing for me is like, how can I use what I've done so far to
Yeah.
create a community?
Yeah, give back.
Yeah,
and stuff.
give back,
Pay it
create a
forward.
community, because like, I don't know. I mean, like, shooting at this level is great. Like, it's fun, but it's fun for me. So how can I get the next kids up there, you know?
yeah, that's true. And I think like the community thing is, you're in a space where you really can guide that community because you're posting all this like Vikings content, all this like you're kind of in this like flashier space where like it's very marketable and you can, get in front of people really easily. And I think if like, dude, if you had like a seminar and then you had like these people and you like cultivated this group and like documented it really well, and then you had like a D1 football player come in and they could like shoot the D1 football player on a white backdrop and everyone could get like 10 minutes with them. I don't know, like, it could be cool, dude. Like, that would be so inspiring to people. And I think you could find a way to like build that community, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
It's a
the
good
community is huge.
Well, community is the only thing that keeps companies and brands alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though, like, I know we're talking about like, all right, like, how could I shoot my high school team? Well, we talked about this on a previous like podcast, but like, like I didn't have any opportunities for like, there was no photography class or video class. These kids probably don't have cameras. Maybe, I don't know if they do or not, but I don't know what kind of like stuff they're working on, but I wonder if there's a way that they can have access to like gear to actually start practicing on,
Yeah.
I don't know if like that's also another barrier for them is like access
sure
to
it's-
resources.
I'm sure it's a barrier, but I mean, even when we first started,
Right.
like all of us, like the
It is
accessibility is so much more like prevalent today than it was when I first started. Like I didn't take a class. I learned everything on YouTube University.
So
baby.
did we.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like taking that initial risk. Like if you're really interested in it and you really want to get into it, take that risk, buying a camera, buy whatever you have like access to, you know, or renting it from people. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many
seriously.
A7 IIs for sale on Facebook Marketplace right now, and like
I have a camera that I'm trying to get rid of right now. So if anyone,
if you're listening,
wants to buy a camera, I'm plugging my stuff here.
But seriously though, like I bet that little Johnny's friend's aunt used to take pictures of their niece, but they're, you know, out of high school now, and the camera's just sitting in their basement collecting dust. Like, freaking go ask.
Yeah.
Just go ask.
Yeah. It's I was actually at my mom's house not too long ago, and I found like her old Canon Rebel or whatever, and I was like, "You had this thing all along? What the heck?" I was like, "Give me this thing." I was like, now I knew like how to use it. It was kind of crazy. I was like, I know how to use it.
You should shoot something.
I
see so many things. Like
she has a Tamron 70-200 and a Canon Rebel.
That's awesome. You should seriously put together a photo shoot for fun and do it, and just be like, we're just throwing it back, baby, with the Rebel T, whatever.
Yeah.
Because like I follow this page on Instagram where they only use like old cameras from like the 2000s.
Really?
And it's like funny because it just looks so shitty. But but like it's like, dang, you kind of like get to see like how good cameras have gotten over the past years, and but
nothing's in focus.
Nothing's
if I
in
pulled that
focus.
thing and tried to shoot some sports, I feel like it would all be out of focus.
Super grainy.
But cool. Well, where can the people find you?
They can find me on TikTok, Instagram. I'm starting a YouTube channel, so follow your boy.
Ooh, what are you doing on the YouTube channel?
Just kind of figuring it out. Right now, just kind of documenting. I did a vlog about shooting one of the Timberwolves games. I like that one. I also do like some gear reviews. I do some stuff with my dog. I'm kind of all over the place. I'm just trying to pump out videos, and then also just content from NFL games and stuff. So
yeah, dude. If you get to a point where Sony starts sending you the new G Masters before they come out, just remember we're still cool and stuff. All right.
All right.
What's yours name though?
At Umba Productions. So Umba, it's pretty easy to spell. It's just 4 letters. So
UMBA.
UMBA, baby.
At Umba Productions. Check him out. He's posting all the craziest clips. Honestly, like some of the clips I see and the photos I see, like get me hype. Like even now, because I'm super excited for the NFL season. But other than that, I think we're wrapping it up. Great talking with you. And for the viewer, tune into the next podcast. We post every single Thursday. So see you guys later. Peace.